appreciate you all being here. We wanted to try to share some of our activities and how the organization's coming together. We're anxious to get some of that information out. I just wanted to make a few opening comments and then open it up to questions. I think all of you are aware that Gay Stockman is our new CEO. I don't think you know she will actually start next Monday on the 18th. She'll be here. She's, at the moment, I think, going through the dreaded moving process. I'm not sure exactly when she's going to show up. She just said she would be here. She's ready to go on the 18th. So.
Might be working out of the back of U-Haul, but we
She may be living out of the back.
Yeah, living out of the
She has signed a lease on a place to live, so you know she's going to have a place to settle down. Several things that I thought were really key that we wanted to emphasize are the relationships that we've built in the last few months. We think those are going to be absolutely key going forward. Ken and I were in Las Vegas yesterday at a meeting of what used to be the Nevada Development Authority is now the Las Vegas Regional Economic Development Council. We were informed yesterday that they're working on a new name. We can't wait to see what that's going to be.
What is it? What is it now? Las Vegas?
Las Vegas Regional Economic Development Council.
No.
One of 10 regional development authorities that Governor Sandoval has created, along with revising the Governor's Economic Development Office and so on. So they're going to have access to the state resources, and part of they're covering all of Clark County. Part of the reason we think that's going to be so important is that the state is going to direct its economic development money through the regional development authorities. So the Las Vegas Regional Economic Development Council is also a 501c6, as we are, and we were told yesterday that they've just hired an outside consulting firm that's going to do a major fundraising campaign for a 5-year commitment of private money to go along with money from the county and the cities that they get. So they're going to be doing a lot of marketing. We think we'll be able to piggyback on that. One of the key things about that relationship is there's now a process that has been set up on how we deal with companies that make inquiries and are looking to locate. We've already had a couple of referrals on that. Ken and I got a call one day. They had a company that had come into their office and said, we want to be in rural Nevada, and they called us. I don't think that relationship has existed in the past where they can now say the word mesquite without stuttering. So we're real pleased about that. And we think as they do their marketing, we'll find companies that will want to be in Mesquite and not be in the hubbub of Las Vegas, and we'll get some referrals and be able to work on those. But you know, aside from that and the relationship with the Governor's Office of Economic Development that kind of goes with that, there's now a working group of all of the professional economic development people in North Las Vegas, Henderson, Las Vegas, so on. We're all now meeting together, as we did yesterday, talking about prospects and companies, and so we're learning a lot from that, and I think we'll benefit. But also I wanted to talk about just some of the local relationships. For example,
excuse me, George, we're also involved in the SEDS process.
Oh yeah, the Regional Economic Development Council has received funding from the Economic Development Administration, which is part of the U.S. Department of Commerce, to complete what's called a Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy. So the outside consultant from Austin has met with all of the local entities. They're going to be here on the 20th to talk with us about especially infrastructure needs and projects that might be possible and might be might receive potentially funding from the Economic Development Administration. The big project that we put on there was natural gas. We're dealing with a company in California that uses natural gas in its manufacturing process, and we discovered very quickly that anybody using natural gas is not going to be a match for us unless we can get natural gas here. Dave did a comparison of producing the therms from natural gas that they use. The company gave us their utility bills, so we knew what that was. We converted that to therms that you generate from propane, and suddenly the bill goes from $8,000 a month in California to $42,000 a month here to try to do it with propane, and we simply, that just won't work. So that's one of the projects we're going to try to get. We know the Kern River Pipeline is out there about 12 miles, so we're having conversations about how we would bring that in. We think natural gas would have would add considerably to our tools to bring some locations about. And that's a really nice company, family owned. Folks have been here twice. They know the area. They like Mesquite. They'd really like to be here, but you can't do it for another $42,000 a month. Even with $28 million in sales a year, you still can't do $42,000 a month. So those kinds of things, issues that we're working on. One of the things that was interesting to me in meeting with all the other economic development professionals in the area was to find out that even communities in Las Vegas metro area are infrastructure challenged. There are industrial parks that got zoned and put in place and got graded, and they don't have water and sewer, for example. And historically, the EDA likes to fund things like water and sewer and put in infrastructure, roads and so on. There's a huge demand in Las Vegas for that, which surprised me. There's certainly improvements out in our Mesquite, what is it?
Technical and Commerce.
Technology and Commerce Center,
Commerce
MTCC. There's certainly improvements out there that we can make. So we've been involved in that process. But also, Ken is also a member of the Chamber of Commerce Board, so we're working on linking that relationship together. We've got an ad in the Chamber of Commerce directory this year. Reliance approached us and said they had blank space on the back cover of the new phone book. I don't know if you've opened the back page of the new phone book, but we've got a full-page ad there. Just trying to let people know that our services are available, and we'd like to try to facilitate location stuff. We've met with, and this is all in the handout, but we've met with Patty Holden and talked about the relationship between what we envision this organization doing, which is recruiting companies from out of town, and the impact that has on growth, and the impact that growth has on attracting doctors and keeping the hospital and that kind of thing. Fortunately, Patty's been involved in development projects in other communities where she's worked and sees that connection. We're on the agenda for the Healthcare Coalition next week to try to engage with those folks as well, because we're not going to be able to recruit companies to come here and have people come and live if we don't have good health care. And if we don't have a hospital, it would really make it tough. And if we can help the hospital recruit some doctors and plug up some of that medical dollar leakage to St. George and Las Vegas, that benefits the community as well. So, wanted to talk also about some of the prospects that we're working with. As you saw in the handout, we've had contact with 11 companies, which surprises me, frankly. We weren't quite in operation when we first got our first call, and somebody said, well, this company they want to come talk to you. And so we saddled up and visited with them, and it happened to have been the company from California. And Ken and I have been out twice to visit with them, but we've we've distinguished between inquiries, which is what we classify somebody who just calls and says, what do you have, tell me about Mesquite, send me some material, so on, and a prospect, and we define a prospect as somebody who's been here and looked at the community and said, you know, I've got a project, I've got a timeline, I've got money, I want to do something, you know, I like Mesquite. And we've had 6 or 7 of those, which really pleases us. So we, in fact, hope to make an announcement in the very near future about one that's actually going to make a decision and open a project, open a business here. Next steps in terms of things that I envision, we're going to get the office open. The bank has kindly, very generously donated the space down the hallway. You didn't miss that, but we can show it to you later. Or you did miss that. A really nice office, and we think that'll be some great space. As you may know, the budget that we worked on includes both a professional director and CEO and a staff person who could do some research and marketing work and so on. So there's space for both of them. The contract that we have, the agreement that we have with the city calls for creation of a strategic plan, putting a budget together, developing all of the information that would be necessary for somebody who's looking to put a business here, and then putting that all on the web. And from my work in the economic development field, I know that currently site selection professional people talk about that about 70% of all the site selection searches are now originating online. So if you don't have your website out there with all of the information, with access to GIS and so on, where they can actually go look at sites and buildings and whatnot, you're just going to get passed over, because when site selection people are looking at potential sites for a client, they'll put an initial list together and they'll try to find anything to knock a community off the list, get the list down to 2 or 3 people. They take their client, then do a tour and show them what those communities have to offer. So if you don't have something that they can find on your website, they just click on to the next one. So that's going to be a real key. And I don't know if any of you have actually gone onto the city's website and looked at that agreement. It's available. I'm happy to share it with you. But it's got a list of things that we've got to do, and we need to be getting on those pretty quickly. That's going to be a priority for Gay. Fortunately, we know that she has experience with research and building websites and all that kind of stuff, so that'll be an early priority. And
So are these the terms of your quote performance contract then? So it's to do all that stuff, but it doesn't require you to like actually get somebody into town at this point? I mean, they're not saying
No.
you have to recruit half a dozen within the first year or anything
No,
like that?
because when you're doing a performance contract, you don't agree to perform something that you don't control. You know, you don't get to decide who makes the site decision, because they're spending their money, I'm not spending my money. So